Hi there! Welcome to Module 1 of Color Theory for Surface Pattern Design. This is lesson number 3 in this module. Last time we explored how to create value. We tinted and shaded the primary hues from the prismatic color palette. These are the pure colors that live on the color wheel. Today, we'll blend the primary colors to create the secondary colors. And then we'll mix the primary colors with their adjacent colors to create the tertiary colors. By the end of this lesson, you'll end up having an amazing color wheel to add to your sketchbook, a key tool for your color and pattern studies. This is a really important stage in your color learning journey, where your foundation is growing solid and strong, setting you up for amazing and conscious future creations. So let's dive in.
We begin with our anchors, the primary colors. These are red, yellow, and blue. They are unique because they cannot be created by mixing other colors. Instead, they are the source for every other hue you will ever use. When we bring these hues together into a circle, we create the color wheel, which provides the structural strength and organization for all our creations. Next, we have the secondary colors, green, orange, and purple. We find these by mixing equal parts of our primaries. Finally, we reach the tertiary colors. These are the in-between colors, red-orange, yellow-orange, yellow-green, blue-green, blue-purple, red-purple. They will offer more complexity into our creations. I will guide you on how to find each of these, especially on the color wheel, so you can see how they relate to one another. First, notice where our primaries sit. They form a perfect triangle, acting as the anchor points for our entire wheel. Our secondaries sit exactly halfway between the two primaries that created them. Lastly, our tertiaries fill the remaining gaps, completing our 12-part circle and giving us a full conversation with color to use in our creations. For this exercise, we'll need a circle divided into 12 equal or as close as possible equal spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We will also add a note on top of each space so we know what color it will turn into in advance so we are not guessing. Red, red-orange, orange, yellow-orange, yellow, yellow-green, green, blue-green, blue, blue-purple, purple, red-purple. We know we're done when we reach red again. We will also need a color palette and some paint. I have these beautiful Tomorrow's Artist acrylics in red, yellow, and blue. Those are the colors we need to build our color wheel. We will apply those pigments on our palette, and with a brush, we will start at the top of our color wheel and apply red. There's something really special about creating your own color wheel and then later also your own color palettes from scratch using pigments. You're not just using color, you're building it, understanding it, and forming a deeper connection with how colors interact and come to life.
Let's move on to the next space for our second primary color, which is yellow. We look for it on our wheel and then we apply yellow in the respective space. Take your time filling the space. This is meant to be an enjoyable moment, something no one can take away from you. It's also a step forward into a more intimate and in-depth understanding of color. Now that we have the yellow space painted, we follow our step of cleaning and drying our brush before moving on to the next primary color. We will find the spot on the wheel where blue goes, and then we will apply the pigment in that area. Once again, take your time and enjoy the process of connecting with each pigment. We have completed the foundation of our color wheel. We have placed and applied our primary colors, and from them, all other colors will rise. As always, we clean and dry our brush. Now it's time to create our secondary colors. First, we need to locate where they are placed in the color wheel. You see we have our primaries, and in between each primary there are 3 spaces. We will focus on the middle of those 3 spaces for now. That's where our secondary colors will go. The first one will be orange, then green, and then purple. Let's start with orange. Look at the 2 primaries surrounding that space, red and yellow. That tells us these are the pigments we need to mix. I will move my palette so you can see how to blend them. We take an amount of red, clean and dry our brush, and then take the same amount of yellow, trying to eyeball it 50-50 to create a balanced orange. The goal here is to reach a mix where there are no streaks of red or yellow, just a solid, even orange. I notice my orange is a bit too dark, so I believe I'll end up adding a bit more yellow to it. I may have started with more red than yellow. That happens a lot when we are just eyeballing, but it's something we can fix. And I want to achieve a more neutral orange. So I'll go ahead and do that. There we go.
I think this looks much better now. Yeah. Now we can proudly paint the assigned space for our orange. And always remember to take your time and enjoy the process. Let me just place my color palette slightly different this time. There. Now, moving clockwise, we find the next middle space. The primaries around it are yellow and blue, so we use those to create green. We take some blue, clean and dry our brush, and then take the same amount of yellow. Sometimes it's tricky to eyeball it, so I may adjust as I go. Right now, I think it looks a bit too yellowy, so I'll add more blue. I'll clean and dry my brush before grabbing some of that blue. Now, this is a more neutral green. When we're finally happy with the green we created, we go ahead and fill the space with it, always enjoying the process. For our third secondary color, we find the next middle space. The primaries around it are blue and red. So we mix those to create purple. We'll use the same process, equal amounts of both colors, and we clean our brush between switching pigments. Then we mix the pigments well. And when we are content with the color, we apply it to its corresponding space. After applying the color on the space, we clean and dry our brush again. Now we focus on the remaining empty spaces, 6 in total, which are for our tertiary colors. We will continue working clockwise. The first one is red-orange. I went ahead and grabbed some red already, but you'll see this color sits between red and orange. And the name gives us a clue. It's an orange that leans more towards red. I have already placed the amount of red I need on my color palette. So now we'll clean our brush and dry it as well. Then we'll take some orange, about 50% of red, 50% of orange, kind of like equal amounts, and then mix it well. Once we have this pigment well mixed, we will add a bit more red until it leans the way we want. So I think I will add more red to it, just wanting to make sure this red-orange looks exactly how it should be, an orange that leans more towards red. Now you can see we have red, red-orange, and orange. We can go ahead and clean our brush. Next color in our color wheel will be yellow-orange, and this color sits between orange and yellow. We will follow the same equation. We'll grab 50% of orange. We'll clean and dry our brush, and then we'll go ahead and grab 50% of yellow and mix those two pigments well. Then we should add more yellow to make it lean towards that yellow-orange that we need. I will be adding more orange just because I feel I'm running a bit short on pigment. So I'll go ahead and do that. And then afterwards, I will add the extra yellow to make it lean towards that yellow-orange. Our next color is yellow-green, and it sits between yellow and green. So we take 50% of yellow, then clean and dry our brush, then add 50% of green and mix both pigments well. Now it'll be time to add more yellow to shift the color more towards that yellow-green we need. But let's not forget to clean and dry our brush as well, just before grabbing that yellow. Sometimes I do forget to clean and dry my brush, but let's try not to forget this very important step when we're using pigments. So I've never mentioned this before, but when adding that little extra color to make the color go more towards the color we need, you can just add small amounts or trust your eye and adjust more quickly. So you can do it bit by bit or just grab an amount that you think will do it, and either approach will work. And now we paint the space with our yellow-green. Now we move to blue-green. By now you might feel more confident and connected to the process. And this time we'll take blue and clean and dry our brush. Then we'll grab green in the same amount as possible. We're just eyeballing. And we'll go ahead and mix these two pigments well. Let's not forget to clean and dry our brush. And we'll add more blue to make it dominant. This will create a beautiful blue-green. And as always, when we're happy with the color we got, we'll go ahead and paint the space. Next is blue-purple. It sits between blue and purple. So we mix those colors. Blue first, then we clean and dry our brush. Then purple. We mix them well. Then we clean and dry our brush one more time. And then finally we add more blue to push it in that direction. We mix them well, and then we apply the color to each spot on the wheel. Lastly, red purple. We take equal amounts of red and purple. And we don't forget cleaning and drying the brush between grabbing each pigment. You will notice in this case I will slightly adjust the red purple we are creating to match the balance by adding just a bit more of purple to this mix instead of adding red. It seems it turned out well without needing that extra red in my case, but the thing is that that red is already there, probably because I had eyeballed the mixture with slightly more red from the start. And that can happen sometimes. But for the most part, I try to follow the 50-50 rule and then adjust with the predominant color. And finally, when we're happy with our color, we apply it in the last free spot of the wheel. Now, let me move the color palette away. And here we have it, our color wheel made completely from scratch. I hope you're feeling proud of yourself right now, because you should be. You gave yourself the time and space to learn something new and to put it into practice.
As we've already explored with primary colors on our past lesson, this time I'm inviting you to create a value scale for each color on the color wheel. Work with one hue at a time and explore its range from light to dark or dark to light or both as you wish. Your color study might end up looking something like this.
I played a bit with the colors of the color wheel, tinting and shading them to explore the range each color can offer. I didn't go as deep as one could, but I invite you to do so. I also want to mention that the colors on my color wheel might look slightly different from yours, and that's completely okay. Each brand of acrylics or pigments offer slightly different versions of the same colors. So even though we all have red, yellow, and blue, they can feel quite different in practice. So don't get too caught up in that. Instead, explore the materials you have in hand. I once heard that our personal style begins to develop through the materials we work with, along with other influences and factors. So it's important to embrace your own set of tools to start with. And if you are interested in acquiring a digital 9 value scale for each color of the color wheel, it is as simple as clicking the link under the description, where I share my Pinterest board. I offer this material to help you start building digital tools for when the time comes to work digitally.
Building your color wheel will visually help you understand how primary, secondary, and tertiary colors are interconnected. This tool will also serve as the foundation for understanding color harmony. And it will be always there to guide you when you create future designs and color palettes. I truly hope you enjoyed this lesson, including our last suggested exercise. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe and keep creating with heart. And whenever you're ready, feel free to move on to the next lesson in this curriculum. It's waiting for you.